Yo, what's going on, bro? My name is Sam Walford. I'm a 16-year-old dropout entrepreneur from Coventry in the United Kingdom. And I help other young men, maybe just like you, to start making money online by coaching your passion. This here's my little school community, little casual, casual little testimonial there. But what I want to show you is this. Yesterday, 12 hours ago, I booked in to go up to rural northern Scotland for a week in this remote little cabin on a hill with a nice view. And I haven't done anything other than work for the past 5 months. Back in October, I went to Poland with my friend Vincent. And there, that was a great adventure. We spoke to people, we did a huge, self-improvement meetup. We spoke to girls, loads of cool shit going on. We climbed a mountain and everything. That was, is really, really awesome. And then, I get back and it's time to work because I was pretty broke. And so I get to work. And I've been at work for the past 5 months. And I've gone from, sort of struggling at like 2K a month to, doing a 20K launch. My clients making more than I was back then. Like you see Evan here, I've been working with him for a few months. He's just hit like 5.2K or something like that. Like I did my own 20K launch back in January. And so that's awesome. It's like I've made tons of progress with my work. In fact, let's not leave my house location like that. I've made tons of progress with the work, and that's been really, really awesome. But it's like I've just lost a bit of energy, if that makes sense. Like, how do I put this? It's it's almost like my mind's just been closed a little bit to a degree, I believe. Just being in the same place. Like the furthest I've been away from home is when I went on this big hike, like this. I don't even remember how far it was. I think it was. Was it more than a mile? Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was like almost 50K. It was like 46K, I believe. I don't know what that is. That's like, I don't know, 27 miles or some shit like that. I don't know. Um, went on a big hike, and that was the furthest I ever went away from my house. I just left my front door. Okay, and I just walked, and I just walked and walked and walked, and then I walked back. Like that's the furthest I've been from my house. Other than that, like I don't know, a few miles somewhere. I'm not really sure. The point is, I haven't gone anywhere or done anything or spoke to anyone really. The other day, I was walking out into the fields, out on my normal, usual hike out in the countryside, which I do just to get out of the house, of course. And on the way there was this girl who was about my age who I passed. And, just saw her, made eye contact, smiled as a normal human being would, and she smiled back. Genuinely, like, that was the first time I probably, smiled to a girl in like months. And it sounds so fucking sad, bro, but like, it just like I don't know how to say this without saying it sounding weird. It just gave me a little, a little bit of happiness, like a little bit of, inspiration in that sense. Um, I really feel like I've forgotten what social interaction and adventure really is. I think I've forgotten that feeling, and I think now that I've booked in to go up to Scotland, which is my point for this video, I believe I've got that back, and it's giving me so much more energy to work and do shit right now, which is really, really awesome because it was what the original plan was because like I was basically to give you a little brief history. It's like I did this launch in like January basically. That was loads of work there. Then February I was delivering to the guys who I sold on that launch. Like I sold my program in the launch in February. I was delivering to them, focusing on that. And in most of March as well up to now, like it is currently like what March 23rd. Um and for most of March, I've been, focused on delivery. And then what the original plan was that I was going to walk across the UK, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, coast to coast, which would be like a 16-day, 192-mile hike, which I was excited for. And like, I went out shopping with my dad. Like, I got all the equipment, I planned the whole route and everything. And then this little fella down here, that probably looks really weird. This little fella down here, there you go, that there. Achilles. Yay. Achilles messes it up. First proper injury before the first proper hike I'm ever to do. And yeah, I can't do the coast to coast hike. And so then I was like, oh, I remember talking with my dad about this. We were literally like, such nerds, like literally standing in front of my map on my wall, being like, okay, well, where do I go now? What do I do now? And it was like, yeah, I'll probably, maybe go somewhere in like France. I kind of speak French, and so I mean, I've lost a lot of my French now, to be fair, but I kind of speak French, and so that'd be fun, or like somewhere, I don't know, like somewhere cheap, like Slovenia, cheap and mountainous, alpine, or like Scotland, staying within Great Britain. That was the other option. And it was like, yeah, we'll figure something out. And then, nothing really gets done at all. And what happened was I go between like hard work and hard play periods. And this is what I found works really well for me. Is like I have a really solid period of hard work focusing on business, and then I have a period of like hard play where I do more of like the creative work, like I'm into filmmaking and stuff. And so what happened was like I sort of finished this delivery like halfway through March, like a couple weeks, like 2 weeks ago or so. And what happened there was like it's like okay, the business work's pretty done. I moved, like naturally got pulled to more of the creative, like filmmaking work. Okay, like naturally going into more of a play period. Keep in mind at this point, I wasn't previously going to be going on my coast to coast hike, and so it was like I was at home, you know, where I'm normally working hard, like doing hard work on business, except I was in a play mode doing work on creative shit. And it was fun, going into this play mode. It was sort of like fun, but I was still at home, and so, it wasn't what it could be. And then eventually I sort of realized, like, no, that was it. It was like the day before yesterday, or like 2 days ago, or some shit. Um, it was like, I remember I said to my friend, my good friend Vincent, I basically told him that it's like I've been focusing too much on like the creative play stuff recently, and that I need to focus back more on the business stuff because I'm going to be doing another launch going into April in a couple of weeks, basically after this trip, but we'll get to that. And so I basically said to him like I need to focus more on the business stuff because I've got so much potential, and we ended up calling. In fact, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. And what happened was I told him that I'm going to focus more on the business and less on the creative shit. And then what happened was that day I tried to focus more on the business shit, and I sort of got some stuff done, but I didn't have any energy or inspiration to really work. I only had energy and inspiration to work on the creative stuff. And so it was that evening, I remember. It was a really, really beautiful evening. I was out walking in the fields. Because my Achilles is a bit better now. It's not the best, but it was a bit better. So I was out walking. I did like this big 10-mile loop. Really beautiful. Like all the sheep are lambing. So there's like loads of little baby lambs bleating everywhere. It was like sunset, and it was a clear sky, but there was like this fog and mist over the land, and so it created like a really beautiful haze effect, and it was just beautiful out there. Except for some reason, it felt like something was missing from me in a way. Keep in mind that it was this day, like before, like earlier that day, I'd been focusing on business when I felt like I should be focusing on the filmmaking. And so I called my friend Vincent, and that's when I told him like, basically it's like I think I should probably focus on the business. I've got potential to do like a 30K launch in April and everything. And like, getting that 30K, and that'd be a load of good money to be sitting on. And like right now I've got like $8,000 equivalent like saved up. And I was like, yeah, but there's, I could focus on the business and do that launch, but I don't really have inspiration for that. But then the other option would be like, I go away somewhere and I focus more on the creative stuff for now. But then I kind of felt like, well, it kind of felt like that the play period was already over because I'd already sort of been in it at home for like the past few weeks or past few days in a way, like past week or so. And so it was like I was out walking with him. This is the day before yesterday. I wasn't walking with him. I was out walking, and he was on my phone because I was calling him, because he's in fucking Texas. And that's a plot twist if you thought he was in real life there. If you don't know Vincent or who I'm talking about, but yeah, basically we just talked, and he asked me questions, and he was like, well, what do you think you should do? Well, this and that. And it basically just helped me decide, and he basically made me realize that I really should, go somewhere and actually make something like this happen. And so I was like, okay, I'm not confident about this, but I've got to make a decision. Either I go somewhere or I don't go somewhere. And I wasn't really happy with either decision because I didn't really I wasn't excited to go anywhere because I thought it would just be I didn't have any excitement for it. I felt it would just be like, I'm just spending money to just go somewhere else, and it wouldn't really, do anything for me, if that makes sense. Whereas I could just stay home and continue working. But then I was like, yeah, but if I continue working, then it's not really going to be that enjoyable either way. And so I sort of eventually picked, you know what, I'll just go away. I've been meaning to go away and just do something and travel a little bit for the longest time. And so I just decided to. I was like, fuck it, man. Like, I'm not the happiest with this decision to go away somewhere, but I'll just do it. And so that evening, I started looking for places up in Scotland. I basically decided on Scotland because it was like, yeah, I could go to France or like Slovenia or somewhere, and it'd probably be cheaper there, but the money ain't really an issue, and like there'd be too much stress going there, and it'd be probably just as hard to convince my parents, but I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much. And so I decided, you know what, northern remote Scotland is where I want to go. Scotland. And so I started looking for places. Rabbit. Little Labrador. And I started looking for places. Wasn't really anywhere good. When I was looking the day before yesterday, which was the same day I called with Vincent. And so, wake up the next day, basically continue looking for places, continue, figuring out the logistics of how I get up there and everything. And it was yesterday, basically, after I got back from, the pub with my family. When I say the pub, we were having food there, okay, I'm not drinking. And it was, right here, basically. My dad was sitting here, watching the football, watching the Carabao Cup final, City versus Arsenal. And I was sitting right here with my laptop, and he was right there next to me. And genuinely, I opened up my laptop, okay, and this is after 5 hours of searching for places. And the very, very first place I click on, okay, genuinely, the first place I click on booking.com is perfect. It's this remote little cabin, okay, whereas there's only one bed and it's tiny, which is perfect for me because I'm just going by myself. I don't want to pay for a bigger place when I'm the only one there, It's one bed, one bathroom, literally basically one room, more or less. It's almost just like a shed in a way. But it's really high up on this hill, okay? High up on this steep hill, right next to the sea, a half a mile away from the sea. Facing east, okay, at the angle that the sun rises. Big window, or double doors, these doors here. It's got big doors like this, big, wide open, glassy. There's a desk there, there's a kitchen there, The only downside is 5 miles away from the nearest town, and so it's in a little hamlet, a tiny little village. So it's not like I'm not around other people whatsoever, but it's gonna be a 10-mile walk, to get food, which I'm actually quite excited about that. And so it was this place is perfect, and I showed it to my dad, and he's like, oh, okay, that looks nice. Where is it? And I go on the map, okay, and I'm gonna have to get out my laptop to show you this. I go on the map, and keep in mind, Scotland is it's bigger than people think, as in north to south. It's pretty much the same size as England, north to south, I believe. I don't know if that's true or not. Yeah, to a degree it is. Going north to south, Scotland's pretty much the same size as England. So the Scottish border is there, by the way. So it's up there. That is where it is. And my dad was like, what the hell? That's as far north as you can get, basically. It was a great place. And it was why are you going that far north? What's the point? Just go to the Yorkshire Dales or somewhere like that. That's, further south, go to the Peak District. And I was like, yeah, but I want to go, I want to go this far north. And I had to look into how to get there and shit, and there's a train line which goes directly to the town that's 5 miles away, fortunately, because it's on the coast which goes north, basically. The train and the big A road that goes up there. And so, getting up there won't be that much of a problem. It's basically just the Caledonian sleeper train overnight. And then And so, it won't be hopefully it won't be a ton of effort or risk getting up there. Going through Inverness, which is quite a nice city or town, which I'm looking forward to seeing. And yeah, it's like, it was pretty possible, and I looked into it, and it was only going to be like £1,000 for the week, return train ticket and staying there. So it's possible, and I was actually starting to get excited at it. It was like, this place is perfect, man. I'd be imagine sitting up here, high up on this hill, looking out at the sea, sun rising over the horizon, and I'm just sitting there working and doing my fucking filmmaking and shit. So much inspiration, so much excitement from that. And so I was like fully sold on I actually want to go on this trip. Because when I started looking, I wasn't fully convinced I even wanted to go somewhere. And I started looking and I started getting excitement. And then I found this perfect place. And it was this far north, and it was like so remote. When I say remote and rural, it's near towns, okay, but it's not near any cities. Like, the biggest city near it is like, I guess, Inverness, which is literally like an hour and a half from the train away. That's like, I don't even know how many. It's a good while away, basically. Where I'm at in the Midlands, it's like you can't ever get like an hour and a half away from any, even medium-sized town. Or yeah, even, no, what am I saying? Yeah. You're always near a city, pretty much. You're always around people, and a significant amount of them. But up there, you're not. There's people and there's towns, like small towns, but there's not like, large groups of people, if that makes sense. There's not a lot of biomass. Human biomass is what I'm getting at. That's a weird way to say it. But, so, it's just I'm just excited for it, man. And, it's on the beach. There's the hills behind it and everything. So it's hiking. I'm gonna see if it's possible to do any swimming, if it's too dangerous or not. I don't know. And yeah, it's I've just got excitement for it now, man. And it's like, I woke up this morning with just so much more excitement and so much more energy, to do this and to actually make this happen. Like, you might have seen my video whenever it was, like a couple of weeks ago, saying about doing the coast to coast, and like, that was gonna happen, and that was exciting, and then it just like my Achilles was fucked, and it's like, oh, it isn't happening, and that excitement just went, and I really feel like I've forgotten what it means to go on an adventure and speak to people and meet people and do cool shit. I really feel like I've forgotten it to a degree, and so yeah, that's that. And the point I'm getting at in this video is, if you're young and you're broke, which you probably are if you're watching me, and you're stuck in school or the system or some shit like this lesson probably won't really apply to you, because for you, it's not worth. I mean, it is definitely worth you trying to go out there and get new experiences and do cool shit. But what I'm getting at is it's probably worth you to just lock in and grind and just get, 2K a month, and just get that, because it's pretty possible to get that, and just get that 2K a month in. And then when you're at that point, I think it's really worth it, and worth it a lot more than you realize, to invest in adventures and invest in trips and put even if it means you don't work on business for a week and it costs you £1,000, I still think it's worth it to go on these adventures, and so, that's my point. Don't fucking get, blinded by, narrow-sightedness of just only focusing on business and just having to work constantly, because I believe that this trip is probably going to help me more, long term, if that makes sense, rather than, just staying at home. So, yeah, 19-minute video for a very short, simple point. But yeah, that is that from me. If you want to join my free community, the $1,000 Protocol, there's a link in the description for that below. And yeah, that's that. Goodbye.